Hey, hello everybody, I'm Balance, and today we're gonna be playing some Ragnarok Online. I got this cool new Rolling Cutter GX build. It does a lot of crit damage, and it does poison damage as well. It's actually very potent. Okay, jokes aside, I am thrilled that you guys have taken so warmly to Poe that you have. I'm really having a lot of fun with this game, and I'm really glad I could bridge that gap between the two games. I think this game has a lot of similarities with RO, and I'm thrilled to be playing it and kind of feeling like a kid again. It's wonderful. It's a great feeling. Now, that being said, there is a lot of things that I wanted to brush over a little bit more thoroughly in this video than I did in the last video, because I was just kind of quickly explaining, like, hey, this is like RO, and this is why. But in this video, I kind of want to get into, like, a little bit more general things, and it's gonna be more freeform video anyway, because as is the case, generally the first week of a month is more busy for me, so I try to find an easier video to do. So that's a little bit of honesty from me. But anyway, what I want to address is a bunch of things that are kind of important that I don't feel like I did justice in the Poe is like RO video, so to speak. So one of the main things that I wanted to emphasize is it's okay to make mistakes, especially with this big, scary tree. The skill tree it's very foreboding, and you don't want to mess up your build. But Poe is way more forgiving than RO is with certain builds. So if you mess up your build, you can simply spend refund points and unlearn the skills that you did. So if you got something that you didn't want, or you found out, hey, I got this skill and it's like way over here, you can just work backwards all the way back. You just need the refund points. Now, the game does give you a lot of refund points as you go through the story, and you can also get more with Orbs of Regret. These are not scarce in the slightest. They are plentiful, and worst case scenario, assuming you have to get your build all the way back to the center, or wherever your starting point is, you're looking at like 120, but you won't be doing that late in the game. That's assuming that you're near the max level, which is very hard to reach. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. What my point is here is don't be afraid to make mistakes. This is a very large tree, and it has everything for everybody. And as you can see, look, everybody has their little node where they start off. I'm on an assassin right now, or a shadow rather. So I am starting from here, and I want to reach over here to get that skill, and then I'm reaching all the way around to get these life. Now, I could have just reached this way, but I also want a lot of stuff along this path, which is why I'm taking it. So I want that gem slot. I want this life here. I want to get this passive eventually. I want this life here. But you can see that there is a method to the madness, but don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's super easy to get intimidated and just freeze up. Do what you can when you're first starting the game. Just stay as zoomed in as possible, and look what I have the choice: damage and energy shield, or physical damage and chaos damage. Oh, I want that, so go. And then from there, do you want dexterity or physical, or more physical damage? Just don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's not gonna matter in the long run. Alright, so something else I wanted to brush over a little bit more thoroughly is Ascendancy. So, in different parts of the game, you're gonna get these little, like, parkour challenges, I guess you could say. And you can see there's one at 33, 55, 68, and 75. Now, in the initial one, you actually get to choose your Ascendancy class. And this, you'll have a choice of 3, or if you're a Scion, you only have 1, but for all of the other characters, you'll have 1 of 3 classes to pick from. And each time you do one of these, you'll get 2 points to do on to put on this little disc here. And you can see that a lot of these abilities are hyper-focused on what the class wants to do, and they are significantly stronger than the usual point that you would get in just overall, like, wherever else on the tree. Now, you can refund these, it's just a lot more expensive than usual. So instead of costing 1 point, it actually costs 5. So you can see, if I refund that, that's going to cost me 5 points, and then I can't. But if I wanted to, I could go get that instead. I don't want that, but it's just showing you, even on this Ascendancy here, you can make mistakes. Alright, so just to show you how different it is for a class like Scion, this is the super novice of this game. And you can see she starts out in the middle, whereas everyone else kind of starts out around her. Her Ascendancy is actually a little bit more open-ended. It's not focused on one particular thing, but she has lots of different areas that she can invest into for different results. And essentially, these are just like mini versions of what the Ascendancy would be for that class. So a witch can ascend to a necromancer, and she would have bonuses based on her minions, and you'll get the little bit of that on Scion if you go that path. And essentially what you can do is just pick from whatever you want. So if I refund my gladiator, I can show you guys that not only do I get a passive point going this way, I also get strength and dexterity because this is the duelist, and he is a strength and dexterity focused. And then if I were to go the shadow route instead, I would get int and dex, strength, yada yada yada. But anyway, once you get to this point, you can get the duelist Ascendancy, and then you can pick either a slayer, a champion, or a gladiator. And in this case, I picked the gladiator because it helps with my block rate. As you can see with my Scion, she is all over the map in terms of skills because I wanted a little bit of everything. Okay, so something I definitely want to go a little bit more detail on is the end game of Poe. Now, once you're done with the general story of the game, which is in 2 parts over 10 acts, once you're done with that, you're actually going to get put into kind of like a... just sort of, it's going to put you down and let you do what you want. And there is a lot of different endgame activities. And what ends up happening on a lot of MMOs is you have zombie content that at one point might have been important, might have been relevant, but because the game has progressed upward so much, it's kind of useless content that just kind of sits there. Now, the issue with this is that a new player doesn't know what the zombie content is, so you could see a new player jumping into the game, trying to do a bunch of instances that aren't really relevant anymore. But for Poe, as far as I'm aware, pretty much everything that you can do at the end game is worth doing to some extent. So one of the main end game routines is something called maps. And what maps are is these little items that you get late in the game. And what you can do is you can take a map, let's just try an arcade map for example, and then you could take a currency item and make the map rare, which adds effects to it, as well as adding what kind of items are going to drop. So not only does it increase the abilities of monsters, it also makes the rewards a bit greater as well. And then you could put that in your map device, and what that's going to do is create 6 portals to wherever the map has led to. Since the actual story mode ends about level 60 or so, everything beyond that level is going to take place in these endgame content. And as you can see, I'm a little bit over-leveled for this map, so it's pretty easy, but this is just to showcase that you have this unique content that you can kind of risk-reward, and as you get further in, it's going to want you to risk higher tier currency, and you might even have to corrupt the maps, which can end up altering them in unpredictable ways, to which you can't reverse. And you see, once I'm done my map, I just head back to my hideout, which is where you're going to be spending most of the time in the endgame, and I've got plenty of rewards from doing that map that I can then turn in, sell, do what I need to do. Because I've got certain items, they're gonna be traded in for certain currency. A good example of this is these 6 socketed items will actually become jeweler's orbs, and this one that's linked with a red, blue, and green is actually going to become a chromatic orb, which allows me to change the color of other gears. Another prominent endgame activity is crafting. Now obviously with gear being so incredibly random, being able to influence it in any way is very desirable, and if you really get into it and you know what you're doing, you can really affect the outcome of an item. And what a lot of people end up doing is crafting a certain way to make very desirable items so that they can sell them on the market. So you can see I've just crafted cold and lightning resistance onto this belt so that when I put it on, I have more cold and lightning resistance. So here's another perfect example of endgame activity. This is actually called this is called delving, and basically you're going underground to collect a material called azurite, and azurite can actually make your digging ability stronger. This goes down infinitely, and you can just keep going and going and going. Obviously, the monsters will get harder and harder as you go. The interesting thing about the mines is that they have a dark effect, and if you go in the dark, you're going to take damage. So you want to stay as close as you can to this here little light source cart. And other than that, it's just sort of like an endurance run. How far low can you go? How low can you go? And obviously, as you get further down, your rewards will become much greater. You can get certain crafting recipes down here. You can get plenty of azurite, which upgrades your abilities. You can also get many other rare items. It's just another example of just another completely unique endgame content that you can do that is relevant. It's extremely relevant. And as you can see, once you get back, you can upgrade your darkness resistance, your light radius, your sulfite capacity, all with the azurite that you've been mining. You can also buy flares to give you some temporary light, and you can also buy dynamite to blast out walls and create new paths in the subterranean chart. And we're not done here. We also have Earnhardt here, who's the Beastmaster. Now, occasionally while you're going throughout the game, this guy is just going to kind of show up. And it doesn't matter where you are, when you are, how you are. He's going to show up and he's going to want to hunt monsters with you. He actually captures these monsters, and what you can end up doing with these monsters is actually craft items with them. So we have a blood altar here, and when we do a ritual... it's actually going to allow us to get rid of these monsters, and once they're all done, the ritual will complete, and we have a finished item. Now, we could keep doing that as long as we have the right monsters to do so. Alright, and you thought I was done? Oh, no, I'm not. Next, we gotta talk about Blight encounters. So, this is a tower defense minigame, surprisingly enough. And you have to set up defensive barriers. So in this case, I'm just going to put some freeze to slow things down, empower these with other towers nearby. This is a tower defense minigame. That's just how it is. It's a tower defense minigame. I don't know how else to explain it. It is a tower defense minigame, but it's something else you can do. This is actually used to make oils, which you can... enchant certain items with the ability to unlock other skills. This is a very desirable item, so even though this isn't like the brand new content that just came out, people are still doing it, and it's still super relevant, which is awesome. Let's see here, it's a tower defense minigame. So this is a Blight encounter, and... tower defense. You guys remember some balloons? Well, this is him now. Feel old yet? And obviously these things will continue to spread, and it gets harder and harder to complete as you go through the encounter. There is also the League challenges that you should be considering too. So Path of Exile doesn't have dailies per se, but it definitely has challenges. And these are on a league basis. For right now, we're on the Ultimatum League, and as you can see, you have 40 challenges that you can complete, and you actually get cosmetic rewards that stay with you if you get enough of these challenges complete. So at 10 of them, or at 12 of them, you'll get an Ultimatum Helmet. At 24, you'll get the Ultimatum Pet, which is a little crow. And then at 36... you will get the Ultimatum Portal effect, which will change the effect of your portals. And these are just specific challenges to do throughout the game, and if you can do them in time before the league is over, you'll get the rewards. It's not something that you have to log in every day and do, but it's just something to shoot for. Alright, and the very last thing I want to talk about is the microtransactions of the game, and how pay to win is Path of Exile. Well, it's not very. There's no there's no actual power increase that you can get from the microtransactions. However, there is something called stash tabs. Now, what these are is these are essentially more storage, which can be seen as an advantage, especially when we get into just how useful some of these extra tabs can be. So obviously, when you start as a free player, you get these 4 regular tabs. They don't do anything special. They're just tabs. Now, while your inventory is 60 cells big, your storage tabs are going to be 144 each. So with 4 of those, you're going to have quite a bit of room, but obviously once you get into it and you get a lot of larger items like armor or big weapons, stuff's going to get tight. It's just going to happen, and you're going to want to get some more room. You don't have to do this. Like, I don't have to hold all of these gems here. This is completely unnecessary. However, if I want to, I can. You get more into the power of it when you get into specialty tabs, such as the currency tab, which allows you to stack things past their original intended cap. So generally, when you have a currency item like a Scroll of Wisdom, these usually cap at 40. The currency tab allows me to stack them endlessly, in addition to extra items down here, which I'm using for the oils. Oils usually stack at 10, but as you can see, I have stacks of 30, 30, 20, and if I try to take them out, it's only going to give me 10. In addition to this, the map tab, which keeps all of your maps organized and tiered accordingly, is an incredibly useful thing to have. These stash tabs are the pay-to-win of Path of Exile. Other than these stash tabs for certain... Money well spent, by the way. Other than these stash tabs for certain things, this is the main advantage that you're going to get by spending money. And you can see that many of them do nice things. Now, this is just an ordinary tab. It looks like it. But this is a premium tab, and you need a premium tab if you want to trade the official way anyway. What a premium tab allows you to do is set something as public and set items as individually priced. What this allows you to do is right click on an item and allows you to set a price for an item, and then someone could message you and say, hey, I want to buy that, because it's going to go up on the trading website. Other than that, there isn't really any advantage that you get from microtransactions. The characters are surprisingly customizable considering how drab of a game this is. You've got stuff like weapon skins, and let me move over so you can see. You can see the weapon is changing depending on which skin I use. You also have weapon effects, which will actually glow on the weapon. And if I wanted to, I could put a different effect on each of the weapons. So there I have a bloody weapon and a blue weapon, so a red to blue weapon, or I could just make them both red. Additionally, you have different helmets that you can wear that go over top of whatever normal gear that you happen to be wearing in the game. This just goes right on over top, and there's even items that allow you to hide this outright. So this is split into helmet, you've got armor, you've got a shield slot, you've got gloves, and that will change the appearance of your gloves, you've got boots. You also have portal effects, so that when you make a portal with the map device, it's actually going to change the appearance of the portals that you create. You also have a character border, as well as pets. Now, pets can be used to follow you around, or you can also put them in your hideout. And the hideout is actually tremendously customizable. You can add and edit anything almost in any way. You can move things around however you want. You can spin them around. It's very freedom. It has a lot of freedom, and people have made some very delightful things with this system. So being able to customize your hideout is something that, again, is while it's not completely microtransaction based, there is a lot of nice things that you can buy with microtransactions for your house. Now, to go even further, you could actually change the effects of your skills. So my main skill is obviously going to be this Blade Vortex. If I want, I can actually change it to other effects. If I want it to be a saw blade instead of the green little blades, then I can do that. It's just another thing that you can customize. And I swapped back to the Scion because I wanted to show you guys just what the invisible items do. So we have this vanishing die, and that actually just makes the item, whatever you're trying to hide, invisible. I actually bought this because, as you can see, my Scion's best in slot armor is a literal carcass. And I wasn't a fan of that, so I just wanted to hide it, as well as their hat wasn't very... As much as I enjoy Mexican wrestling, it's not my look, so I decided to hide those. And that'll actually just put in, or it'll put on what the character has originally. This is different for every character, and if I go to the character selection, you can see all of the characters right here. This is what they would be wearing. So you can, whenever you see a character that's just base, that's what they would wear if you had their vanishing die on. It just so happens that Scion has like the best outfit out of all of them. And a perfect example of character customization, if you go into town, you'll definitely see a lot of people that look extremely colorful. A lot of the microtransactions are very edgy, but also very shiny, over the top. They don't offer you any statistical benefit other than looking cool. The main pay-to-win aspect of Path of Exile all comes down to the stash tabs, and everyone will tell you that. But I think that about wraps it up for this video. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll get back to you with a more substantial video next week. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Now, this video is made possible by lovely Patreon sponsors that are on the screen right now. Thank you guys so much for your support. And if you'd like to join them and get videos a day early, you can go ahead and look down in the description for more info. As for everybody, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.